Hi, everybody. Um, it's been a minute since a real update, and I want you guys to know that it's not because not without trying to not update for sure. Every second has been consumed by just pain attacks for Jax since the second we left the hospital. And we've been dealing with uh, our doctor, the new pediatrician from New York, and she's amazing. And we had been keeping him as calm and comfortable as humanly possible while she was in New York. And I was thinking, in terms of getting home, like we would try more tests, and we have, a lot of other things we could try. I don't know. When Jax was about 1.5, we were given a ballpark in terms of Jackson's possible life expectancy, because Jax has a rare genetic disorder called tuberous sclerosis complex type 2. It's terminal and there's no cure. And at that time, when he was 1.5, based on what his doctors were saying and seeing off of his brain scans and everything, I had one doctor finally be upfront with me and say, like maybe around 12 years old. So I think we just always lived with that in the back of our minds. And just, I raised my son just like I would have raised him if he wasn't sick. I didn't want, him to feel like a victim or different. And we just lived our lives as if there was no end in sight, And so the last several months, obviously having been in the hospital, it's taken a lot out of him, like mentally, emotionally, psychologically, because UC Davis screwed up and left him in pain for a long period of time when he shouldn't have been, flat out. And it made a big difference on his psyche, and he never had these autism meltdown behaviors, or autism attacks are basically what they look like, because all the attacks that he's having are pain driven still. And this last time when we were in the hospital was the 5th admission at UC Davis. They still had yet to barely even look inside and try and find what's wrong, let alone start with his primary diagnosis and then move your way down, because all of these symptoms could be complications of that, or complications from medications, or a million different things. And so with the doctor coming back, I had kind of like played this out in my head already. I'm very logical, like, thinker. So I had to think it through. Like, well, she only has, the power to help us keep him safe and comfortable and here at home while we're out of the hospital system. If we go into the hospital system, she loses her control. We go back to those same hospitalists who aren't doing anything. It's not like she could get us a direct admit to a different hospital like Stanford. And quite frankly, I wouldn't let my child go to Stanford ever again, based on the conversation I had with his TSC neurologist when I had a conversation with her, letting her know how hard this was, how it's impossible to keep him safe at home, all these different things, how this wasn't my child 3 months ago, and this wasn't our life 3 months ago, and he was excelling. And then now it's like he got a cold, and then that triggered all this other stuff happening and these attacks. And we were thinking they were from all these other things. Finally, on the 5th admission, after we had been like aggressively trying to get to the head of pediatrics, they wouldn't even let us know his name for quite some time. I didn't even actually ever get a face-to-face with him. The day we were supposed to have a face-to-face meeting was the day that Jax had a sedated MRI. So, and he just never showed up, and then never called to let us know to reschedule. And then, we heard from him later. They don't care. They've cut their losses. UC Davis basically cut their losses and pushed us out of the system when they realized that those tests they did run, like the brain MRI, is a completely different brain MRI than he had 3 months ago, because just in his cerebellum, there's 3 gigantic tumors that have grown that weren't existing 6 months ago, and they take up about 65% of his cerebellum. So I already had that in my head also. Like, okay, so these are major things, but the hospital wasn't taking us seriously. Thank God we have this pediatrician, because she's been doing everything to she believes he's in pain, number one, and she's helping keep him comfortable. But every single second of, like, every day, like I'm saying, is like me, my mom, my dad, everyone's circling around Jackson like a helicopter. Plus, if we have a nurse or a respite worker, and it's 24 hours a day, and it's literally nursing him at home, and it's incredibly difficult and not safe and all these things. And so I had played all these situations and scenarios out in my head, knowing, like, going into this appointment, I don't think there's very many game plans that she could come up with, basically. I had played them all out in my head. And so we got there and we were asking questions, and we started, my mom and I, and thank God she came with me. We sat there and we asked all the questions that we had. And it became clear, though, about halfway through, because we started bringing up some of these symptoms, like the fact that he's not seeing things. He completely missed 2 steps several times here at my parents' house, and he's lived here for several years. At one point, he knows his house like the back of his hand. He completely just didn't see it, which could be a major side effect of one of his seizure medications, and or just a major side effect of where these tumors are pressing. And so I asked her, and I said, like, he's been on this seizure medication for this period of time. Like, I know I had to sign that waiver. It's like 33.3% chance, that he could lose his peripheral vision. So, like, maybe we should start looking at changing seizure meds. And she kind of basically told me, like, risk versus benefit right now is he needs to stay on the seizure medication, because we're trying to address his pain mainly, and then the behavioral aspect of it because of the pain. And it became clear that, like, she was just trying to give us a plan to keep him comfortable, that there's not much more of a plan. And so I finally got to a point where I just had to ask her, like, flat out, okay, well, when he was 1.5 years, we were told, like, maybe like 12 years old, but obviously with the rapid growth of the tumors and the progression, and then the amount of, like, just mental and emotional and physical turmoil, like, he had to go through at the hospital unnecessarily, all is contributing to this escalation of his rare genetic disorder and the escalation of his autistic behavior, which it's not even that. Those are the tools in his toolbox, and he's in so much pain, and he's been trying to tell us he's in so much pain, and I've been shouting from the rooftops he's in so much pain to all these doctors and nurses, and just, it's a broken system. And so I asked her, and I said, so what are we looking at then? She said it could be anywhere from soon to a few years. So what's soon, like, he's a 6-year-old baby. And there's just no way to know, like, we're not God, and he's like me, he's a fighter, and and we are trying to hold it together. I sound like I'm probably talking myself in circles, because I'm just sheer exhaustion after just 3 months of in the hospital, and then May 16th and now, like, I feel like it's clear, like, the child I had 3 months ago and that life that we had, he's not gonna he's not gonna be that again. We're not gonna have that again. And I knew, because he's got a terminal rare genetic disorder. And in the beginning, for 3 or 4 years of his life, like, their seizure meds wouldn't work for any period of time. They would always be, it would work for a short period of time, and then he'd start having breakthrough seizures, and then finally he just started having all these grand malls again, to the point where, like, he had a 50-minute long grand mal when he was, before he was put back on the vigabatrin and the phenobarbital several years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and it really made a dent on him. He regressed. But all I know is that we feel very blindsided because it wasn't a conversation I expected to have. And I'm his mommy, so, like, how do you come to terms with that? So that's what we're all praying on and working on over here. And I just want to thank all you guys for being so very supportive and here for us during this time, because it's been a lot. And I just want to focus on, just giving Jax, like, the most magical life possible, so he is just a little angel from heaven, like, he's my boy. I wasn't supposed to be able to have kids, and after a lot of losses, I was able to get him, and he's been perfectly amazing, and this ride has been crazy, but he's like my little mini soulmate, my best friend, and so he's just, tuberous sclerosis is a horrible disease, and there's so many rare genetic disorders that have no cure and that don't even have a voice or a name to those faces who deal with it, and Jackson, he is a TSC type 2 warrior, and autism warrior, epilepsy warrior, and we're just gonna keep powering through and doing everything we can to make sure that he's happy and calm and enjoying his life, and we don't know what the future holds. I'm not God, and but I have faith in God. I do, and I think that with him and our family and all the love that we have, from you guys, and we'll make it through this. And it's pretty heartbreaking. There's not much else, to say. Like, nobody saw this coming. And so I'm still just as dumbfounded, we all are. But we're just going to pray for those good days. And on those good days, we're going to live every second of it. And I know there's a good friend of ours, Matt Birdman, and he started a GoFundMe for Jackson, and it'll be on his page. So I don't know if you guys are moved to help donate. There's a lot of stuff he needs now. And I have to move. I'm like literally here in between hospital visits, and I have to move everything back to Sacramento County to be closer to his services and try to get him, closer to his doctors and everything that's needed. So we're working on that, trying to find like maybe a better communication system. So when we do have helpers, other people besides me know what he needs or wants, and we're just hanging in there. So this is why we've all been MIA. But we're hanging in here. And we love you guys. And I will update you, as soon as if we have news, In the meantime, we're just gonna post updates like as they come, but we're gonna live in however much time it is that he's still here with me. Every second of it is a blessing. So I'm just very lucky. He's the strongest person I know, and he is an angel. I'm very lucky. So I just I'm sure you guys all have a lot of questions and probably all want to reach out and everything, and we barely even got like some immediate family notified, and then for me I had to just post one update for now, so we can share it on his page, my page, and you guys can know what's going on, and then in this time, if you could just respect our privacy a little, if we don't get back with you right away, there's obviously a reason. So like I said, we appreciate all your guys' love and support, and we are just gonna keep living like it's our last day. But he's the happiest kid alive, so I guess we'll let you know he's the one here teaching us all, teaching me and my family so much about like strength, and he makes all of that pain and suffering look easy. The second that he's out of pain, he's back hugging and kissing and loving, because it's torture for him. He's a baby. So I had so many bullet points and things I was gonna say, but it's a bit much. So a bit overwhelmed right now at the moment, obviously, but I just wanted to give you guys like the gist of it and let you know like that we love you guys, and we really appreciate all your support, and we will need that support, to continue on. So we'll let you guys know as we know more, but but for now, we're just trying to process everything. So if, if you don't hear right back from us, we're just numb at the moment. So, all right. Well, thanks, guys. We really appreciate everybody being here. So, all right. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.